here. Let's bring in Fox News medical contributor, Dr. Nicole Saphier. Dr. Saphier, I want to ask you about that guidance in just a second. But first of all, let's start with the situation in Chicago. And I want to quote a very astute and learned medical professional on all of this. That would be you, who tweeted this morning, quote, President Biden owes it to the children and parents of Chicago, among other places, to condemn publicly the teachers union that voted to refuse in-person education, the job they are paid to perform. Kids first, lobby powerhouses last. To quote the band Fall Out Boy, Doc, light 'em up, up, up.
You know, because I have 3 boys, I happen to know Fall Out Boy and have been to several of their concerts. But you know, John, I'll tell you, I woke up and very, very upset to see what is going on in Chicago. And you have to know, it's not just Chicago. It's everywhere else that teachers' unions control the narrative. You have schools closed in Newark and Philadelphia. We used to joke that the biggest waste of taxpayer dollars would come from seat covers at the White House or some other ridiculous ancillary service. Well, what about the $130 billion that went through on the American Rescue Plan, over $5 billion of which went to those Chicago public schools? They've gotten increased ventilation, hundreds of thousands of masks. Over 91% of teachers and staff have been vaccinated, and yet they still want more. What do they want? Make no mistake, John, at this point, it is not about the children. As science and data continue to show that the safest place has been in schools, there is negligible transmission in schools as compared to in the community and in-home transmission. And therefore, the teachers union are using this. They're politicizing their wants and needs and putting that over children. What if other workers did that? What if healthcare workers? What if people who work in the grocery store said, you know what, community transmission's high, I'm just going to stay home? That doesn't work. And these people are putting our children at jeopardy. We have seen a markedly high rise in suicide attempts, overdose attempts, and mental health suffering of our children. This is completely uncalled for. And I want to hear President Biden come out and condemn these people, just like he continues to condemn the unvaccinated. And what we just heard when he said that this is still a pandemic of the unvaccinated, no, that's not true. Actually, vaccinated and unvaccinated are causing this virus to continue to transmit. That is the definition of a pandemic. What we are seeing are higher hospitalization rates amongst the unvaccinated. Stop condemning and stop shaming people who are unvaccinated, yet not saying anything when people are putting our children's life and welfare at stake.
All right, so the challenge is thrown down to the president to call out these unions. We'll see if he does. Now, let me ask you about what Jackie Heinrich was just reporting from the White House, that the latest guidance from the Centers for Disease Control is if you come down with COVID, after 5 days, you can get yourself out of isolation and quarantine. You don't have to test, but if you want to and you've got access to a test, go ahead and take a test. And if you happen to test positive, then quarantine for the remaining 5 days of the 10-day original quarantine. And I'm left to think, what?
Yeah, I think most people feel that way, John. You know, I was listening to that White House press briefing. Jackie did an incredible job at pushing back. I will say that these public health agencies, CDC, and even the White House need to be speaking with purpose, and they need to have clear metrics. And unfortunately, that's not what's happening. It's more gibberish. And all they are doing is backtracking every time that they get pushed on something. She was asked whether or not there were external influences on these decisions, and she said absolutely not. But we know that's not true. We know that the lack of availability to get rapid tests has to play into effect. Otherwise, you can't say, well, you know, if you have access to a test, maybe you should test. Well, no, because we know most people don't have access. It needs to be black or white. If after 5 days to return to work or resume activities, you need a negative test, then that's what it should be. And the White House and the administration needs to do everything possible to make that happen.
All right, Dr. Nicole Saphier, thanks for kicking us off today. Good to see you're on fire, as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.